Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start.
Sharmishta, you can start.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Hello, good evening. So today we from All Ladies League have come again with another webinar. This webinar is on saving water and the earth. The session will discuss the importance of water as a means of survival and sustenance on earth. And today for our webinar, we have our guest, Colonel Venkatraman. So he is a retired army engineer with 25 years of experience as an army officer in the Corps of Engineers, as well as in executive, managerial, supervisory, and administrative appointments in the military engineering services. He has done his BTech in civil engineering and advanced civil engineering from College of Military Engineering, Pune. He did his MBA from Anna University, Chennai, where he stood third on the course. And he also did an MPhil in management from TGOUE. He has done his MSc in psychology from Madras University and holds a diploma in counseling and psychotherapy from IPMS Mumbai. Colonel Raman, after retirement from the Army in 2007, worked in the industry in DLF Homes, CB Richard Ellis, and Panoramic Group in various roles, including HR. He has also been a full-time faculty in Dr. V.N. Bedecker Institute of Management Studies, Thane, and has been a visiting faculty at several B schools in and around Mumbai, like Wellinkers, Lala Lajpat Rai Institute, Sydenham, and Sasmira Worli. Currently, he is a full-time faculty at Aditya Institute of Management, Mumbai. He has also trained employees in civil and soft skills when he was DGM OD at Panoramic Group. He has been a facilitator for outbound training at Empower Camps, Kolad. He has been an assessor for Right Management India as well as for Sapsol in his role as a consultant. He has run the Standard Chartered Half Marathon 5 times and enjoys keeping fit with yoga. So a very warm welcome today, sir, to the session.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'll just put on my camera so that I'll make myself visible. I hope you all can see me. Is the light enough? Because I'm a little away from the tube light.
Yeah, it's little darker, sir. No problem.
Yeah, partially dark, but I think that is fine.
Now,
Yeah, yeah,
about
better,
now,
better,
better?
better, better.
I think
Good.
it's fine.
First of all, I would like to thank Sarmishta and the All India
All ladies league.
Andhra, for inviting me for this webinar. I would like to say straight away that I am not a ecology expert, and I am not really intending to share loads of information. I am in fact just wanting to share something that is quite which I believe in strongly more than anything else. It is certainly just the love for nature and for our Mother Earth, as we say, that has got me into this, and grateful to Sarmishta for having pulled me into this literally. Not that I wouldn't have done it, but I was a little, I would say, uh, skeptical about whether I would be able to really get enough of information. But then there is a lot of information, and if you're really interested in something, uh, I'm sure it'll find a way out. So that's not a problem. But the point is, yes, what we need to discuss today is about water. So let me come straight to the topic of water. I do have a small presentation that I've made so that it'll just keep us, guided. And I'm a stickler for time, so I will certainly insist on keeping to time, in the sense that if it's 7:30, I'm going to stop and expect questions. I believe we are a little, we've started a little late, in the sense we were waiting for people. and therefore we might take it a little ahead. That's not an issue. But the point is, I would definitely not want to linger on or take much of your time. I'll just share the uh, screen with you so that you get to know what I'm talking about. uh, I just want to know if you all can see the screen. Give me a second. Is the screen visible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
Yes, it is visible.
Hello.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, great. Thanks. So let me go first to, without wasting much time. Why are we doing this? And obviously the reason is because there is a problem in our hands, and I've been telling everybody, including my students, whenever I have some of my sessions which goes on to something connected with water or with the ecology, is that we are using so much of fresh water, and we are using it like as if it's available to us for the next 100 years, and we are not concerned where it comes from. Many of us living in cities don't know that there is such an extensive system of storage, pumping, uh, then filtration, sedimentation, and then chlorination. We studied all this in science in our school days, but we've forgotten it conveniently. And then the day water doesn't come, then we all jump up and down in our flats, and we angrily ring up the security and say, "Pani ka kya ho gaya?" And then he says, "Sir, tank khatam ho gaya." So then we look for other options. We curse, and then the secretary is at the receiving end. Incidentally, I'm the secretary of my society, so I know what it means when water goes. So the telephone never stops ringing, and then we have to ask for water trucks, because some people are even in the middle of their bath, and then there's a problem. So, and then everything is forgotten, like 2611. I'm sure 2611 is remembered by many Mumbaikars. I'm talking about July 26th, 26 July, not 2611, sorry. The
Yeah,
26th
the
of July.
floods.
Yes. So now, unfortunately, public memory is short. And again, every time we see a photo like this, we feel, "Arey, theek hai yaar, Bombay mein aisa hi hota hai." So the point is that we've reached a stage where we are kind of immune to what is happening around the world. And to be very honest, it's a big scare, not only for Mumbai. This year again, rains have been plentiful, and thankfully the lakes are full. In fact, that is one thing I look at, that how many lakes are full and how much. Then it gives me a little reassurance. Okay, इस बार भी पानी कट नहीं होगा. But then the way population grows, no matter how many lakes are there, power cuts will still be there. Water cuts will still be there. I'm pretty sure of that. So the point is, why do we need to live in this way? Why can't we ensure that we conserve? Rather, first we are aware, and then we take the necessary steps to do something about it. So this is what my small talk, I would say. And honestly, thanks, Shankul, for interjecting. I know you're there. And I want people to interact and give their inputs. This is not a one-way educational seminar. This is just a simple, honest evening talk on an issue which is concerning all of us today. And we need to be really serious about it. That's what I felt. So that's why I collected some information, which definitely I wanted to share with you people. Huh? So the points I'm going to talk about quickly are the use and preservation of water supply, including quantity and quality. Then why we need to conserve, because it's an asset for nourishment. Forget about bathing. We need water for drinking. Today we have started buying water. Today we get water at maybe 10 rupees or 20 rupees a bottle. The day is not far off when it will become 100 rupees, and then soon it will become 1,000 rupees, and then you will realize the value of water, drinking water. I'm sure people have predicted that in the next 60 years, if things are going the same way as they are now, and we don't take action, then water will simply disappear. no matter what you do. And no matter what the kind of money you give, you simply can't buy water because it won't be there. Remember, it is a depleting resource unless it is created, nourished, and water is stored. Okay, so the fundamental demand for all activities appropriate from local use by agriculture. Yes, agriculture is the main demand for any for water, and you must understand that whatever water comes, it first goes for agriculture, and then anything else is given to others for use. In fact, even in our kitchen gardens, in cities, it is the other way around. We use water for bathing, and then whatever remains goes for the gardens. Okay, but as far as the country goes, agriculture first. Okay, let's go to the next. Why the urgency? Please take a look. So there has been a serious tension of water resources, negligence, customer water bodies like tanks and lakes, unpredictable, and the abuse of groundwater, incorrect preservation of surface water systems. Yes. What are the surface water systems? You have lakes, fresh water. We talk about fresh water. We're not talking about seawater. Seawater is plentiful. We know that 70% of this earth is water, and but unfortunately, it's not drinkable. It's not usable by human beings. It's not potable, as they say. And what we really are talking about is fresh water, because countries like Dubai and Saudi and even Singapore, they actually have desalination plants. Singapore doesn't have any fresh water, doesn't have a single river. It's just 30 kilometers long. Where can it have a river? So what does it do? It takes salt water from the sea, and it converts it into fresh water, desalination. But that's costly. You can't afford to have it in every country. Countries like Singapore and Saudi may afford it, but I don't think that's the right way to do things. Ideally, if water is managed, I don't think we need to really do these methods of trying to convert seawater into fresh water. So what are the sources? The first and the best sources, the rainwater. And rainwater goes into rivers, it goes into lakes, it goes into tanks, and it then from those sources it is taken away by human beings, and part of it, most of it also evaporates. There's runoff. There's water that runoff is water that is actually not stored. So monsoon water that comes, it just runs away. It percolates into the ground. So that's and it goes into obviously groundwater. So groundwater is definitely there. That's why we have our tube wells and we pump out water. But then that again depends, because it depends on the soil, how strong it is, how good the water is, what are the layers beneath. If there's rock, you can't then get the water whenever you need it, and you'll have to again spend a lot of money trying to pull out that water, and most of it goes waste actually. So let's go to the next. Okay, so let's have some facts about water. Please keep interrupting me, for God's sake, and ask me if you want any more information. Can you all read the slide? So the human body is composed of 65%. Yeah, are you all hearing me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So we all know this. 78% water, dropping to 65 by 1 year of age. So what happens is, as you grow older, you require less water. So okay, people like me above 60 may not need that much of water, but then infants, they need all the water they get. So the earth has a limited amount of water. Water we have now is all we get till it is recycled. Water recycle can help you, meaning how we recycle the water cycle we have studied in science, how water comes down from the clouds, and then it goes into the soil, then again from the streams it evaporates into the gets converted into clouds, and the cloud then falls as rain. So that's the water cycle, we all know that. And then we have wells which have been dug in villages all over the country, from where we can draw water. And you all know that in summer the wells get dry because there's no water. By then all the water is used up, so groundwater gets depleted. So what are the basic demand for every food? It grows our fruits and vegetables that is consumed. I mean, this is all common sense, you might say. So let's go ahead. Yeah, so now where is water found? Firstly, plants Yeah, plants are very helpful to us. We need plants all around us. I mean, Mumbai is I would say, a great city. You find so much of life, so much of bursting population. Yesterday, I came home from Borivali, and I was stuck at Fountain Hotel on Ghodbandar Road for almost 45 minutes. That's normal on a Saturday evening nowadays because the bridge is being built. But what I find amazing is that on one side on the road, we are stuck with bumper to bumper traffic and thousands, if not lakhs of people on the road. And on the other side, we can see beautiful greenery of the national park. So, I mean, Mumbai is one of the few cities which has a national park next to it. And every time I cross it, in fact, one of the main reasons I selected St. Francis Institute and now Aditya Institute, I won't lie, is because I have to cross the Ghodbandar forest every day. And I really enjoy doing that. It's a beautiful place. Every time I cross it, I feel nice because you bond with nature. And there you see the stark difference of humanity versus nature. Nature is so quiet, nature is so comfortable. It is said that, nature never hurries, but it completes everything on time. But we are the people who always get late, and still we don't. I mean, we are always in a hurry, but we never complete everything on time. That's the sad part of it. So again, look at this. 97% of all water on earth is salt water, not suitable for drinking. Only 3% is available. Imagine, and 0.5% is there for drinking. So you don't have any water actually. 2.5% of fresh water in glaciers, ice caps, the atmosphere, soil, or under the earth's surface. So this is where we really have our water. So remember, what I'm trying to show you in the slide is that water is a precious commodity. Okay. So the only answer is conservation. You've got to conserve. You've got to be really, really aware that it is a depleting resource. It's a precious resource, and it needs to be conserved. So water conservation is turned into an essential practice. It's the most practical and environmental friendly approach to lessen our need, and utilizing like less water likewise puts less weight. Yeah. So what happens is when we talk about conserving, it's not just about storing water. It's also about using less water in the sense that we got to be careful. We shouldn't waste water. The simple thing that is shown in many ads that a child is brushing its teeth and the water just keeps going and going and going. I mean, that is sad. I mean, no, of course, I don't blame the child at all, but I blame the parents who are not teaching the child to put the tap off when they're brushing, because keeping the tap on, it's a simple thing. You might say, oh God, how much water is it? But remember, drops make an ocean. So every drop matters. Okay. So we must be aware, and we must, get into the habit of conserving. Then again, we all know that the ice caps are melting, that because of the climate change, because of the carbon, the carbon dioxide in excess, because of the air conditioners and the pollutants being put into the atmosphere, the earth is, the greenhouse effect is heating up the gases are heating up the layers, the UV layers getting punctured. And therefore, what is happening is that our earth is becoming hotter. And when the earth is becoming hotter, ice caps start melting. So what is happening? Again, whatever fresh water is there, that is getting depleted. Then conserving water can make life of septic system stronger. This is by lessening soil immersion and reducing contamination. So again, when you conserve water, you can make your septic system. That means the water required for your septic tanks. That is also very much required. So unless you have adequate water to flush out your systems, you're going to have a big problem tomorrow in, if the septic tank gets accumulated with more dirt. Just remember that. So you need water for that. And that can be poisonous for the entire ecosystem. Then overloading municipal sewer systems can make untreated sewage flow to lakes and rivers. Again, it's about the water getting contaminated. That's a bigger problem. That when the sewer systems, because of lack of water, they get contaminated, the water will go into the lakes and they'll contaminate the lakes and the rivers. Then community-wide domestic water preservation has avoided expensive sewage system development. So what is happening is that because there isn't enough of conservation, sewage systems are also getting affected. Okay. Now, these are the main problems: water shortage, clean water, waterborne diseases as a result. Okay, lack of access to safe water causes 80% of deaths around the developing world. More than 5 million people die from water-related diseases such as hepatitis, dysentery, and severe. So again, because there isn't clean water around, see, first is you're not conserving water, then you're not treating the water, and you're drinking dirty water. So again, that is leading to disease and is going to affect our health. Okay, let's skip this. There's too much of content. Yeah. Now, what is pollution again? Pollution is because of untreated sewage. This is a major issue. On one hand, we talk about conserving water. We talk about ensuring that we have clean water and we filter our water. But on the other hand, we have sewage systems which don't have adequate water supply to flush it off, and that contaminates the water that is there in the subsoil. Remember that. The aquifers, they get even pesticides, fertilizers, they contaminate the soil, and then what the water that you're going to drink is contaminated. Remember that. So we remember when this kind of runoff is severe, when this kind of contamination is severe, it creates dead zones. Again, there's a major issue of oil spillages that happens in the sea that may not be connected with fresh water, but again, that is a big issue. We just had another tanker bursting in one of the oceans and contaminating the entire area around. Fish die in large numbers, in thousands. And in fact, the entire ecosystem goes for a toss, the marine system. Okay, so again, we have toxic industry-related water pollution from toxic chemicals. In our country, again, the laws are very lax. We don't do proper water treatment for the industrial effluents, and we just pump it out into the, sometimes we pump it out even into the rivers, which is shocking. And what happens because of that? It contaminates the water. I'll give a case in point. Most of the people viewing this must be Mumbaikars, and we all have heard of a river called Meethi River, which is somewhere near Bandra Kurla complex, and it flows into the sea, the Arabian Sea. The word is Meethi, but I'm sure nobody will have the courage to drink that water because, well, once upon a time it was Meethi, but look at the look at how it is now, and I would blame even the authorities, the municipal authorities. They're just pumping raw sewage into the sea. I've seen it happen at.
I want to come in, and it is not only the case in Mumbai. I would say
Okay.
now I'm in Bangalore.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just taking the liberty that you said that we can.
Please. I want people to share their views. I've been doing a monologue now. I would like people to come, please.
Yeah. So I stay in Electronic City, which
Okay.
has got a good number of so-called educated people.
Okay.
I live in a complex where we have around 1,000 flats, and like our complex, we have n number of complexes in just one road I'm talking about.
Mhm.
You were talking about authorities. The problem lies in authorities. No, I mean, like approving these projects. Okay,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
imagine the water that
Mhm.
goes waste. I mean, we are buying tankers. There's no water here. We are like
Okay.
every day. I think if whatever I know that our complex is buying nearly 50 plus or tankers
God.
every day.
Oh my
Okay, and the worst problem is the sewage water. You know, like
Mhm.
the water from the grey water. There's no proper planning.
Absolutely none. I remember you talking about Bangalore. This lake. There's a lake in which there was fire coming on the lake.
Correct.
Because there were toxic chemicals floating on top.
Yeah, at least that's a huge lake, and at the same time, like buildings like these, what they do is they let these water go and like make it in such a way that it gets dumped into the small villages, and poor those villages, they are deprived of using these water, or
It's really sad. Very
So
sad.
we are just, it's exploitation of another kind
Yes,
is what
absolutely.
I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right. So, yeah, I would request others also. There's Shankul, Rajeshri, Manik, Anita, and Sharmishta, of course. So, I would request everyone to share their views, because this is something that I've collated, and it is just something that I'm sharing with people because I want people to be aware of it. That's all. Yeah, let's go ahead. So, let's quickly look at what we can do. I have been to Singapore. I'll tell you my personal experience again in Singapore because my daughter's there, and they're slowly creating their own water channels. I think they're getting a water channel from Malaysia, and they're developing their waterworks slowly so that they don't have to depend totally on the desalination plants, because that's a very expensive process. So even a country like Singapore, which is small, needs such a lot of water, and especially because it has a lot of industry also. So it definitely is aware of it, and there the laws are very stringent. They're very aware of their responsibility. And like you said just now, Gitanjali ma'am, that it's more about being responsive, being aware, and caring for the other people. Like the city people or the even the government doesn't care for the villagers, and so they just dump it there wherever it's convenient to them. So the point is that we need to be aware, we need to be responsible. So here you see in my slide again, a lot of countries facing shortages. We all understand that. Let's go ahead. All right. Yeah. So again, repeated drilling, well building causes the water table to drop in some places. In fact, we are lucky in our society, we are having a bore well. Most of the societies in our complex don't have a bore well. So they have a big problem when it comes to, when the municipal water doesn't come for a day. And so they have to hire tankers. And that is when we thank God that at least we have a bore well. Then what we have done in addition is, in spite of having a bore well, because the bore well has a lot of dirty water sometimes coming into it, mud basically, in spite of we having a filter. So what we have done is we've gone ahead and done rainwater harvesting. We've created pits for ourselves, for our society, at a cost of about 1.5 lakhs. But it has really paid off, because today we have uh, enough water for the next 12 months, and we don't have to, ask anybody for water. So I think if every society does rainwater harvesting and creates pits, even if you don't have a bore well, you will have enough of water for the dry season.
Yes, again, I think the authorities should come up with a plan that they should make it mandatory for all the structures.
No, yes. I believe right now developers in new projects are coming up with, at least in Mumbai, I've seen the good ones. They come up with rainwater harvesting uh, pits around the buildings. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, the smaller developers and the chota mota guys who make 3-storied, 4-storied houses, they don't adhere to these norms. So yes, it should be in, ma'am, that is the problem. There are laws, there are rules, but there's no enforcement. That's
Sure,
the
yeah,
problem.
totally agree. Yeah, totally
So
agree.
that is where we have a problem. So now
Mm.
let's go quickly to the solution, because it's almost 7:34, and I would like to really talk more about the solution than the problem, because everyone understands the problem. So let's go about the solutions. First of all, we need to plan. That is the first and the foremost. Unless you plan, you can't act sensibly. So you must know how much of water you need, and where it will come from, and how you're going to get it. So once these things are clear, I'm sure you can convert it into action. So firstly, you have to stem the wastage. So the most practical solution is reusing and recycling water. Yes, that is a very good way. Most of our bathroom water is going into kitchen gardens. That's the best way we can, recycle water. Again, recycling plants are there today in cities where the sillage is converted into fresh water. So that's again a very, I would say, good way of storing and conserving precious water rather than waiting for the rains every time. But again, we have to take it with a pinch of salt in the sense that the treatment has to be really, really effective. Because if the treatment is not effective, you're again inviting disease. Then UV radiation is a popular means of disinfecting water. It's less effective when water contains sediments or sludge. See, UV treatment is common in homes. We use it for filters, but that's okay for a small amounts of waters. You do use it even in large filtration plant, but before that you have to sediment and filter. I mean, you have to filter the water and take care of the sediments. So that needs to be done before you use the ultraviolet. Again, the so-called what is that called? The ion exchange process, which is very common these days in water filters, is an expensive method, but again, that removes all the salts, essential salts. So it's not a very healthy way of drinking water. I would advise people who want to use these fancy water filters these days that use the ion exchange method, that it's not really a very healthy water that you're drinking. You're just drinking plain H2O without minerals. So that's not very healthy. It may be microorganism free, but again, it's not healthy. Instead of using cloth, they use cotton to remove the coarse debris. The best way to employ method is to fold the cloth. So some people, especially in villages, they use cloth to filter the water. Then through harvesting, transporting, and storing rainwater, these old and tried and true methods are being brought back to conserve. So like I said, rainwater harvesting is one of the simplest ways we can conserve water. Systems that use catchments, gutters, and other channels, storage tanks, and the gravity of pump-driven delivery systems, they are cheaper, at least equal to drilling and building a well. Why build a well? Rainwater harvesting is much cheaper. And it's a one-time again. Raised bridges. Now see, especially in the rural areas, the easiest way to conserve water is to create bunds. And that's what every intelligent villager should do. They just, create walls and create an artificial tank. It's called tank bund. Hyderabad is the best example of tank bund. So they just created a tank for water, and the rainwater comes in, gets stored there. And obviously, to prevent the percolation of the water, you can use a plastic sheet on the at the bottom. That's what most people do. Why is saving water really important? We all know it. I don't have to tell you again. Then drought. Yes, there have been droughts in this country, and it's again something that can stare at our face anytime. I remember many years back when I was in Khadki, we faced a severe shortage of water. The rain didn't come for in that monsoon. You see, our country is dependent on water, on the monsoons for fresh water. And if you have a bad monsoon, you had it. So obviously, in a country like ours, we need to be more conscious that we need to save and conserve water, because if the monsoons fail us, we're going to have a bad time. Okay, let's skip this again. I think we've almost reached the end. So I'll give you a few more examples of my childhood days. I enjoyed, walking in near our river. I'll tell you, I was in Ordnance Estate Khadki, and we had the Mula River. It was the Mutha River, I think. It was Mula, sorry, because it flowed near the VEG center, Khadki. Yeah, the Mula River. Pune has got two famous rivers, Mula and the Mutha. The Mula is near Khadki. And I used to go every evening. There was a boat club there. There was a River Park Express also, which we used to have. We used to sit in a toy train in Diwali. And I used to enjoy seeing the water every evening when we used to go for our evening walks. So unfortunately, I don't have a river close by. Of course, the Thane Creek is there. But still, the very sight of water is something that is so refreshing, that is so peaceful, and that makes you really re-energize, as they say. So we must, to sum up, I would say we must really understand the importance of water today. I think the ecology group of headed by Gitanjali ma'am and Sarmishta, they're doing human service to our country by creating this awareness in whichever through whichever forums they are doing it in. There's an ecology group on Telegram, and I can see the number of programs that they're running. It's really something noble that they're doing, and I really wish them all success in this venture. I would definitely want to contribute more in whatever way I like. Yes, there was one more point I just remembered: the linking of rivers. That's a major project which our country is undertaking. And yes, many people are a bit skeptical about it because it can create floods, is what they're saying. But the point is that unless you try out something, there won't be any improvement. We can always do it in phases. We can always link them with small canals to start with, because on one hand you have floods in the Brahmaputra, on the other hand you have famine, or you have conditions in the Thar Desert. And by the way, speaking of the Thar Desert again, I've served in Thar. I've spent almost 4 or 5 years in the army, living in the deserts, much ahead of Jodhpur in places like Jaisalmer and even from beyond that. I've lived in dunes, so I know what life is there for the villagers in Pokhran and Nachna and all those places. Every drop there matters. And I also want to put this on record that whatever you say, what the government did at that time by creating the Indira Gandhi Canal was simply wonderful, because we take our jeeps on the canal bank, and if you really look at a aerial photograph of the Indira Gandhi Canal where it runs in Nachna and Ramgarh, from Nachna to Ramgarh in Rajasthan. In fact, it's available even on Google Maps. I mean, it looks like a green, rather a blue line in the middle of brown expanse. And the trees on either side of the canal are so thick, the vegetation, it's like a forest. You can't see the water until you reach the water line. It's that good. So I'm telling you, our Mother Earth is so fertile, is so generous and so giving. It's only that we people are selfish. We don't know how to respect the Mother Earth. I think I'll end on that note, and I would leave the room open for questions if there are any from anyone. Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. This is Mani.
Yeah.
I just want to ask that nowadays the water level is decreasing very fast.
Yes.
Because we are using water so much that we just can't imagine. The thing is that we are only using it. And the water, as it is said in Marathi, if you understand, pani adva, pani jirva.
Sorry?
Yeah, pani adva, pani jirva.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल,
वो
बिल्कुल.
पूरी तरह से बंद हो गया है.
True.
Because in cities, what happens in flats or everything, there is cementation everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere there are floors and all these things, and there is no space for the water to go inside the earth.
Absolutely.
And that's why it is decreasing very fast.
True.
So there should be a rule for the municipalities and all these things, that whenever you are doing flooring, you should keep some holes or something so that the water can go inside.
Bilkul.
And if everywhere on the roads also, the roads are there and the sewage lines are there, and there is no space for water to go inside the earth.
Bilkul, bilkul. I agree.
So
Manik, what you're saying? हाँ, बोलो, continue.
नहीं तो वो बहुत जरूरी है कि बड़ी बड़ी सिटीज में वो जो वाटर नीचे जाना चाहिए पानी में, उसका रखना कंपलसरी करना चाहिए हर फ्लैट्स, हाउसहोल्ड एंड एवरीथिंग.
Absolutely. Manik, what you're saying is 100% correct. And by the way, in the development plans of municipal corporations, it is mandatory. I'm a civil engineer, I make drawings, so I know it. We are required to keep at least 10 feet on all sides for, so that there is just plain soil around the building. So you can't have concrete all around. You need to have plain earth around buildings. But sadly, as you said, this is not being followed. The problem is not that the rule does not exist. The rule exists, but unfortunately it is not followed. The enforcement is not there. And like you said, the municipal authorities, while giving permissions, they are supposed to strictly adhere to this. But kya hota hai? Corruption, underhand dealings. The developer
Yeah,
pays money and the developer gets away with loot because he wants more area to make a bigger building. It's as simple as that. That is
I'm
what is
not
happening.
blaming. I'm not blaming only municipal corporations. Also, I'm blaming ourselves. We are
हाँ,
the people that
yes,
we are not following it.
बिल्कुल
because
बिल्कुल.
because
Exactly,
ये जो
exactly.
अधिकारी
You
जो
are
है
right.
Right.
कोई भी
You are right.
अधिकारी कोई भी गवर्नमेंट कहाँ कहाँ ध्यान देगी, कहाँ कहाँ नजर रखेगी.
True.
So it is our responsibility to
Yes.
do all these things.
Charity begins at home. Absolutely.
Exactly,
Instead of
exactly.
pointing fingers at others, let us first grow up. Let's first grow up.
Yes, yes, that is what
You're
I
right.
mean to say.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right, sir. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Most
Any
welcome.
anybody
There's
wants to
one.
contribute? Yeah.
There's one question on Facebook from one of my friend, not
Uh-huh.
related to not related to water. He is curious out of context and plain inquisitive question, please.
What is it?
Kandar Sahab is from Madras, Bengal, or Bombay Sappers.
Oh my God. I am a Madras sapper. I am a Madras sapper. Yes, the person asking obviously then can understand that there are three groups in the army.
Okay.
In the Corps of Engineers. In the Corps of Engineers, we have the Bombay Engineer Group, which is the youngest, the Bengal Engineer Group, slightly older, and the Madras Engineer Group, which is the oldest. So I belong to the MEG or the Madras Engineer Group. We are called sappers. So I am from the Madras sappers. Does that answer your question, please?
Yeah, I'll just write to
And
him.
we have a wonderful history, Madras
Okay.
sappers.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question, Sharmishta
Please.
here.
Yeah, tell me.
Thank you so much before that. Sir, question is that in certain countries there is community washing.
Okay.
So what are your views on that? Does it really help in water saving? Because about community washing, we also read in our older civilizations that there were community washing, and even now there are certain countries who are doing community washing. Like they take the laundry over there and do community washing.
There is Dhobi Ghat even in Mumbai. Dhobi Talao is there. So there is community washing, and that is a convenience actually for people. Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear.
So I was saying community washing is basically a convenience for people who can't really use the laundry or do the laundry at home. So they give it to these people. And while community washing can certainly conserve water, it is a good thing. The only, I would say again, flip is you have to use it with caution because the kind of soap and the detergents that they might use, of course, since they're doing it in larger numbers, so they might use harsher detergents, and that again could affect the subsoil water. That is the only concern if it is multiplied. Otherwise, it's a good habit as long as it is it's not as long as it is again controlled, and people don't use harsh detergents. So that's my only point. It's a good point. Again, you need a place to wash. It's more of convenience. So community washing certainly is a good idea to conserve water, especially in cities. Again, people should be akin to it. Now I'll tell you what, in my society, in fact today in every society we have a dhobi. So we conveniently give him the clothes and he goes and washes it somewhere in his backyard or wherever. So the concept of community washing has to be when the entire community comes together. And sadly, because of our our so-called flat systems, this doesn't seem to really work. You will agree, Sarmishta, that there aren't many community washing centers in cities in our country today. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Basically, what I'm thinking is for the people who are, moving in search of job, right? Like the blue collar jobs.
Yes.
Mainly. So these people are washing their clothes everywhere and anywhere.
Correct.
So the water wastage is also there. So I was thinking, I mean, how
so
what way this community washing will it be able to help this kind of activities in some way?
So okay, good. So the first thing in this is that people should be firstly made aware that this can be done. People should be told that because they'll be skeptical, how long it will go for, how soon will it come back. You see, there is a normal comfort level that when you give it your Dhobi, you get it the next day. So they are a little worried whether they'll get it the next day. That is one thing, because I've seen people giving it to Dhobi, the Dhobi Talao also. I mean, the washing center in Mumbai. Then there is again another issue that will he wash it properly? Because you see, if there are 500 clothes being washed, I'm sure you understand that he'll, he might use some strong methods to wash.
I understand, sir. I was just thinking that because water is a shared resource.
Correct.
So, I think if we can keep in mind that because it is limited, yes, and because it is shared resource, if it can be, used in a more, in a better way, and this kind of awareness things, if we can do for the communities.
I fully agree. All I'm saying is your idea is absolutely right. That
I'm not sure, sir, whether it is implementable or not, but
no.
I am just putting this question to the forum and you. Correct. That
I would like to know.
Not. I want to know also.
I would like to know from others also if you feel that it is practical and it can be implemented, because I know it is a great idea. I'm only wondering whether people will be, really open to accepting it. That is my only point. So we need to then.
I don't know about other cities, but in Bangalore, certainly there are not exactly Dhobi kind of thing, because I think again in big cities now, place it's place is very hard to get. So, but at the same time, you have something like laundrettes where it's like
yes.
So you give your clothes and they measure it in
that is there.
Cool. I think that is also, I think it's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. What Sarmishta said probably was, are you referring to laundrettes, Sarmishta, when you talk about community washing, or are you referring to those huge places where they, wash 500,000 clothes? Which one are you referring?
Yeah, I am referring to those, places where they wash like 500,000 clothes.
Correct.
Yeah, people bring their things and they wash over there. True. It might be like Dhobi Talao, or it can be like through washing machine.
Absolutely.
But I am just thinking that this kind of thing, whether it helps or not, I am also trying to understand.
It will help. Certainly, it will help. But it just the people need to change their mindsets and be aware that it can be done. And whatever their fears are, those must be explained. That's the only point I had. Anybody else? Manik, what do you say?
What about this community laundry?
Yes. In larger numbers, not a laundrette. Laundrette can cater to about 50, 100, 150. But what we are talking about 500,000.
But I just don't know about the people, because people are not. Yeah, exactly. That's the people's mentality.
Okay. So that needs to be.
Yeah, I think people
that is true. And the most important thing is the people are not ready to do it.
Yeah, like they may not like to mix up your clothes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
There could be
that is the main problem.
They may not be very comfortable.
Exactly.
Even though I think most of the hospitals, I'm
that
sure
they do.
Yeah,
even hospitals have their own laundrettes, I think.
Yeah. Nowadays, yes, they all have their own laundrettes.
Any other question? Or any other sharing of information? Not a question, please. Sharing.
No, I wanted to know, because this is information I wanted to know about, is that these days you get the filtrations, like say something like ion exchange or a Kent water purifier.
Yes, RO, the RO water.
Yeah, RO waters. They also come with a tag that they can supply mineral water. How true or false it is, or is it just a marketing gimmick?
It's a marketing gimmick. Let me tell you, if you're using RO, you are not getting minerals, because the very concept of the process of reverse osmosis means that it's just plain H2O, nothing else.
So what is the solution, sir? Because if we don't put RO, then the water is not clean.
Yes,
then
I'll tell you.
If we put RO, then no mineral. I personally don't use RO, but I am just asking on behalf of other people.
No, perfectly right. I'll tell you, the best way is water that comes from municipal corporations is already filtered and cleaned. Okay, but in our house, to be doubly sure, you can have a normal UV filter. A UV filter is good enough. I have a UV filter at home, and then especially during the monsoons, to be extra careful, we can boil the water and drink it. But seriously, and of course boil it and then cool it, because then once you cool it again, the minerals get reformed. The point I'm trying to say is that in our fear of getting cleaner and cleaner water, we are again losing out on our immunity. And there is where the problem lies. We should build up our immunity. I'm not saying start drinking water with germs. I'm not saying start drinking dirty water, but I'm saying that don't be obsessed that you want clean water, clean water, clean water. You have to develop your immune system. Let me tell you again, it may be the other extreme, but when we were on exercise during our training in the NDA and the IMA, I don't know what kind of water we drank. We drank from streams, okay? Running streams. There was mud in the water, but we survived. Or you might say, oh, you are a soldier, you are tough. No, it's not like that. We are also human. We could have also contracted any disease, but it's about the immune, building up the immune. I strongly believe in building up our immune systems, and I feel very sad to see the kids of today who have become chocolate babies. Sorry to use that term. They just don't have any immune system.
Actually, when we were children, at that time also, there was no RO or anything. Now we drink it. But when we were children, we used to drink simple water.
Absolutely. Now the water is more contaminated. I agree. But I'm saying a UV filter is enough, is what I feel.
Okay.
Anything else?
UV filter filter the arsenic also?
UV cannot really remove arsenic. UV kills germs and bacteria. To remove arsenic, you have to actually go through the sedimentation and filtration process.
So and does RO does that?
RO does that. RO removes arsenic. RO makes water completely devoid of anything except water, plain water.
So sir, it is a double-edged sword. So
yes.
If I want to remove arsenic from water, from groundwater.
Correct.
So in that case, I'm using RO, but then I'm using all the other good minerals.
But honestly, I don't know whether really there's too much of arsenic in the soil, because by itself, due to leaching, the soil itself cleans the arsenic out. So soil itself is a natural, I would say, filter.
Yes. It is a natural filter, right?
Yeah. So I don't think there's much of arsenic that much. Otherwise, we would all been dead long ago.
Yeah.
Actually, nowadays the problem is that in flats or anything, the water goes in the tank first and then it comes down. That is the problem.
Storage.
Because storage, it can't be cleaned every now and then and all this.
So you keep cleaning the tanks and you don't clean the tanks for 6 months, then there's a problem. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Correct. We can't help it. Kya kare? We are now living in gated communities.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else? Because it's almost 8 now.
Yeah. There's no more question. I was just checking on the Facebook also. No more questions, sir.
Okay, I'll end this session by saying that it's no big rocket science. We just need to be aware. We just need to be serious about it, and we need to understand that we are all in it together. So either we together swim or we sink. I'll just end it on this note. Yeah. Anybody else wanted to say something? Anita,
thank you very much, sir.
Something?
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session.
Yeah, thank you. The simple commoners, point of view of how we can save water and earth. Thank you so much, sir, for taking your time off. Sharmishta, you can.
Thank you so much, sir, for this session. And I would like to thank Gitanjali Dhar, the present Karnataka chapter chairperson for Ecology Conservation of All Ladies League. And thank you so much, all the participants. We are looking forward to another session. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you all.